If you think quiet men are weak, you've misunderstood silence. Some men don't stay quiet because they're afraid. They stay quiet because they understand the cost of words. There's a difference between being quiet and being weak. Most people never learn that. Some of us grow up observant. We don't rush to speak. We don't feel silence. We pay close attention. And over time, we learn something very important. Words move things, not emotional weight, but more like consequential weight. When you speak, things shift. People respond. The dynamic change. So silence becomes intentional, not because there's nothing to say, but because saying the wrong thing costs too much. Talking has always felt heavy to me. Too many words and too much explaining and too many people speaking just to feel included. I never needed that. I learned early that I didn't want to just belong to the noise. I wanted to belong with myself. So I watched. I noticed how often people spoke without considering the cost. How often people opinions were just put out there without responsibility. And I learned restraint. Silence wasn't a fear, it was awareness. You see, in marriage, silence becomes necessary sometimes, not because you don't care, but because you care enough to not to destroy something with careless words. Here's another one. At work, silence becomes necessary because one sentence, out of context and out of timing, can cost you stability. In public places, silence becomes necessary because the margin for error shrinks. You learn to be careful with what you say, not because you're unsure, but because everything is recorded, repeated, and rarely forgiven. That isn't weakness, that's discernment. But there's a part people don't talk about. Carrying everything has a limit, and men reach that limit quietly. It doesn't explode, it tightens. You let things slide. You choose peace over correction. You swallow sentences that would probably feel good to say, but costly to release. Until that one day you don't. And what comes out isn't emotional. It's very measured and very direct. I'm not doing that. That doesn't work for me. I won't accept this. I know to everyone else, it sounds normal, but to you, it's heavy because it reveals something. It reveals that you care. And caring has always been the thing we were taught to control, not because it's weak, but because it can be used against you. So you learn restraint. You learn to stay composed even when it costs you internally. But here's the truth. Silence used for survival eventually becomes a cage. And a man that never speaks eventually disappears from his own life. The world doesn't change when you finally say what's real, but your posture does. You feel tension. because you broke your own rule, and you feel relief because you didn't abandon yourself. That moment, it stays with you. Not because you were heard, but because you were honest without explaining yourself. You don't need to talk more. You just need to stop swallowing what matters. So, if you're someone who observes more than he speaks, if silence has kept things intact, but also kept parts of you buried, then this isn't about becoming louder. It's about choosing when silence is no longer the price. And here's the question: steady, not dramatic. What's one thing you've been holding back that you already know needs to be said? No explanation needed. One sentence is enough. If this landed somewhere, you don't have to explain it. You don't have to defend it. Just sit with it. And if you want to mark the moment, leave a blue dot, a word. Hell, nothing at all. That's just one thought. Now, what's yours?